Hi, I'm Michael Siddle,
And I'm Nick Nanos.
and welcome to Trendline. Nick, we have 3 weeks to go in this election campaign. It's been a bit stressful. It's a Monday. How do you relax on the weekend? What do you do?
Well, last weekend I went to go see the Ottawa Atletico. That's the Canadian Premier League game. I watched that, and I painted my bathroom. How's
Oh
that?
my
That's what
gosh,
pollsters do to relax.
you
It's
you,
kind of
you were literally
moment of zen with the roller,
you
that
were
kind of stuff.
literally watching the paint dry just to relax. That's amazing. Well, now we've got 3 weeks to go. I think the story early on, Nick, was the great electoral reset, where any kind of presumed advantage that the Liberals have seemed to have been washed away. Where do the parties stand now?
Well, in the latest Nanos tracking for CTV and the Globe and Mail that was just finished last night, we have the Conservatives at 32.7, Liberals 31.3, New Democrats at 20, Green Party at 5.9, Bloc at 5.8, and the People's Party of Canada at 3.6.
Oh my gosh, that's close. Actually, you mentioned the People's Party of Canada. I'm curious
Yep.
about this. The leader Maxime Bernier is not in the national debates. How are they still hanging on to 3 something percent?
Well, I think it's a parking space for some disaffected and angry voters. It's probably also a parking space for some folks that don't like mandatory vaccinations. Maxime Bernier is I believe, and I'm pretty sure, the only federal party leader that has not embraced vaccinations, why don't we say, compared to others. So it's a bit of a political parking space for the disenfranchised and angry.
Now, in terms of the two front runners, the Liberals and the Conservatives, they seem really locked in a tie now. But national numbers are one thing, and how that translates into an actual seat count in the House of Commons is quite another. What do you think is going on there? Who has the advantage?
Well, if you remember, Michael, back in 2019, the Liberals lost the popular vote, but
Hmm.
were able to form a government in the House of Commons because they had more seats than the Conservatives and Andrew Scheer. And the other thing is that the distribution of seats, distribution of support, that is, for the Liberals, was much more efficient at generating seats. Now, let's put up a board and let's take a look at I'll call it the roller coaster ride of seat projections that Nanos has been doing back since June 2019, and check out the trend line. It's
Wow.
basically a rocket for the Conservatives, and I don't know what the opposite of a rocket is. Well, I guess it could be a rocket going the other way for the Liberals, because back in July, they had a lock on 171 to 170 seats, even before the too close to call, and that's down to 111, and it's basically a tie for all intents and purposes. This is because Conservative support is much better distributed in this particular election than in previous elections. The Conservatives are much more competitive in Ontario, and that's one of the key battlegrounds.
Hmm.
And it looks like Aaron O'Toole's, what I'll say, positioning on things like mental health, positioning on what I'll say, him being pro-choice, has probably broadened the potential for the Conservative Party in a lot of different parts of the country. So the old structural advantage of the Liberals is not as strong as it is right now, according to the latest seat projections based on the polling that was just done last night.
Wow. And Nick, I want to talk about the NDP for a bit. So sometimes when people sort of in the middle between the Liberals and the NDP see the Conservatives on the rise, they tend to maybe shift their support. What's the story with the NDP right now?
Well, the NDP are holding their support at around 20% nationally. That's still a pretty good number, better than the last election for Jagmeet Singh and the New Democrats. The big question, I think the potential breakout moment for the NDP could be the debate. I think a lot more Canadians, because the race is closer and much more competitive, I think a lot more Canadians are going to tune into the debate. They're going to be looking not just at Aaron O'Toole and Justin Trudeau. They're going to be looking at Jagmeet Singh, because there are going to be some progressive voters that are going to be looking at Justin Trudeau and wondering, do we want to stick, or do they want to stick with Justin Trudeau as part of that progressive coalition, or do they want to support Jagmeet Singh? So I think that's going to be the interesting dynamic in the debate that's coming up
Mm-hmm.
on September 8th and the 9th.
And they've got one shot. It's one English language debate and one French language debate for this short election. So that's a lot of pressure on them.
I think it's a lot of pressure on all of the federal party leaders. For Aaron O'Toole, I think because his personal brand has improved over the last while, I think he's just got to get through it. But Justin Trudeau has high expectations. Jagmeet Singh has been in a number of debates and has done well in past leaders' debates. So there'll probably be an expectation that he'll do well in the debate. But the big question is, who is he going to attack and in what order? That's the big question.
Now, speaking of personal brand, Nick, how did they stand in terms of preferred prime minister numbers?
Well, where we have Justin Trudeau is at 30.4% of Canadians. Nipping on his heels is O'Toole at 27.9%, Singh at 19.5%, and then the rest. And, you know, the key takeaway here is that when we look at compared to that August 12th base, you can see that Trudeau's down about 5 percentage points, and O'Toole is up a full 5 percentage points on his personal brand. And this has been the big story of the campaign. O'Toole exceeding expectations and being competitive with Justin Trudeau, and his brand improving over the course of the campaign.
In terms of Liberal leader Justin Trudeau, in the news lately, we've been seeing a lot of protesters, especially anti-vaccination protesters, at his campaign events. He had to cancel for security reasons an event recently. Will this actually improve his standing as in terms of preferred PM as sort of a champion of vaccinations, or how does that play out politically for him?
Well, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag, because on the one hand, it's not good for any campaign to be disrupted, right? And it also puts a spotlight on Justin Trudeau and some Canadians who are not happy with his position on forced vaccinations for federal government employees and stuff like that. At the same time, whenever there's that kind of focus, it's an opportunity to put a spotlight and to respond. And I think it would be fair to say that Justin Trudeau has been reasonably measured in his response, not as sensational. And about this, I have a prediction. I think he's trying to be measured in the short term, because I think he's going to keep his powder dry for the debate. There's no use in attacking O'Toole and trying to draw him out on this when Canadians might not be paying as much attention as they will during the debate. So how about this for a prediction? We'll see whether I'm right or wrong. There will be some sort of vaccination bazooka. Can we call it? Yeah, bazooka.
Sure.
Bazooka.
Sure.
That the Trudeau Liberals will try to launch against O'Toole. And I'm sure the O'Toole folks are getting ready for something. But I think Trudeau's trying to keep his powder dry. And probably, even if there are more disruptions, we'll just be even, I don't want to say even Steven, but even keel, and wait for the debate to try to land a big punch on Aaron O'Toole.
Wow. Nick, as always, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Nick, N-I-K Nanos, or you can go to www.nanos.co.
And I'm also on Twitter at Michael Siddle. You can also find more information about what Nick and I have discussed at ctvnews.ca, including Nick's latest numbers. And please also sign up for Rachel Aiello's Election Dispatch newsletter. Thanks very much.